Welcome to episode 133 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
E3, here I come.
Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
And very special guest, Dakota Dark.
Destiny 2 reveal next Thursday.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Alrighty, I'm going to assume that that's the end of it because I stopped being able to hear Hollow River at some point. We got a great show tonight. Dakota Dark is with us. Dakota, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So if you would be so kind as to explain to everyone listening who you are in this world of Destiny, your name, and maybe some things that you do, and maybe some places where they can reach you should they find that that's awesome to do.
My gamer tag on PlayStation is Dakota Dark, and also now soon to be on Xbox, it'll be Dak Oli. So my better half and I sharing an account. You can catch me on PlayStation most nights. I do have Twitter, which is Dakota _ Dark Dakota. Same for Twitch. And my place in the Destiny universe is a proud member of Guardian 1. I tend to do raids, and more raids. So I love getting people through their first ever raid, and that's kind of what I specialize in.
Very cool. Very cool. And right now is the point in the program when I was going to cue Gray to show that great cake that Oli made you for 100 raids. But I dropped the ball as per usual. You know, I think of these great things throughout the day, and then diaper change. You know, it's hard to run a race when you have to stop every couple of feet to change crap. Oh God, it's horrible. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. But but yeah, so you just hit 100 raids. How cool is that? And did it feel like 100 raids?
It didn't. I was real fortunate when I came into this year with Rise of Iron. As soon as Wrath hit, I knew that I really wanted to try to get 100 clears. Almost got there with King's Fall in year 2. It was just kind of a goal. It was a nice round number, and I think back over the 100 clears, and rating 3 times a week on each character, and then usually at least 1 or 2 other times with a new group of people trying to get them their clears. So it's kind of a fun journey. A lot of great memories along the way. You get up to it, and it's just like, wow, how have I put this much time into this? But it's been so much fun, and it goes by really quick, in a quick blink.
Very cool that that your significant other was so supportive. I know some people in the community, their significant other views time in Destiny as not such a great thing, and you actually got the coolest cake made for you for this milestone. And I want to say that I really enjoy the way you Sherpa people through, and I don't really know how you do it. It's one of those things where you're watching the magician, and you're watching, and you know that you're going to see the trick, and you don't see the trick, and that is that you give the people the information that they need in order to best handle the situation. But at the same time, I've seen people push back on you and say, well, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And you take this like, I don't know, like Bruce Lee, some kind of judo move where you take that energy and you redirect it, and it's not, you don't get upset, and that person gets to let out their frustration because, like sometimes clearing some of these things is a pain, is an absolute pain, and other times it works so well. And I'll tell you what, I take your tips with me everywhere I go. There's many different ways you can complete many of these encounters, and I very much pay attention to what you do because I feel like you dummy-proof some of these things. A great example is the Golgoroth thing, where you have everybody running around and you have them capture as soon as they're on the other side. Like, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. It allows people to not have to worry about, am I going to be able to destroy all of these taken projectiles coming towards me? That's stressful. I've seen a lot of people try and do it other ways. I've actually done it other ways, but that was really an eye-opener. You mapped it out to where it was dummy-proof. And every time we go through that way, it's perfect every time. And it's quick, and thank goodness, because, man, I love Destiny, but I'm so ready to move on to something that's not a Hive playground. I'm not... it's cool. I'm just really ready to explore, ancient ruins, like Vaulted Glass. It feels so much like archaeology to me. Like, every time I go down there, I think, man, look at what this species has done to this planet. It's really cool, very cool. But yeah, your techniques are fantastic, and the way you handle people is fantastic. Do you have any tips for people who want to do this? Because as you know, Guardian 1 is a group focused around Guardians helping Guardians, and I know that I have felt welling up inside of me an interest to go into the LFG community and find people who have never done these things before and help them through it. And it's an exciting aspect. Is there anything that you would tell somebody who is interested in Sherpaing and helping other people out, like tips and tricks or, ways that you deal with it? Because some people are actively hostile, and I've seen you just work as a base to that, and they don't have any leg to stand on. It's really amazing. Tips, tricks, what you got?
Don't lose your stuff. Patience, because you're all there, and if you can remember that you're all there to have fun, that really kind of gives you a base to go back to when Salt kind of enters in your raid. And then also setting realistic expectations, especially with new people. If you give the expectation, I'm going to help you and I'm going to give you the tools, I'm going to check your loadouts, and I'm going to give you the most basic thing that will help you succeed. As long as you can do that, and then continue to reinforce it. 90% of the time, that's going to work out fine in the end. And you just have to really be persistent and really be patient to get to that point so that you can help pull them through. Also, having another partner or two in crime is really helpful. So if you have somebody that you've experienced raiding before and you guys are a good fit, I've gone into LFG quite often and am able to become part of a group and help lead from that standpoint. But if you're Sherping and you're setting everything up, you're kind of responsible to bring in at least one other ringer or somebody like a co-Sherpa, if you will. That has two huge benefits. One, the skill level increases, and two, we're all human. We all miss things. So if you have somebody that can kind of watch your back and go, oh, hey, you forgot to mention this, that's really huge. And then also learn with other Sherpas. A lot of who I am and how I lead raids are little bits and pieces that I picked up from raiding with other Sherpas, like the Gogara thing that you mentioned. I learned that and I was like, wow, well, that might not be the fastest way to bring him down in challenge mode. It is really one of the more foolproof ways of making sure that everybody gets his gaze and nobody dies. And then when it comes to LFG, have a realistic expectation. If you are going on to the 100, it's far more. I always tout that one because it's my personal favorite. You can schedule, you have a chat box within, and it really helps kind of set those expectations in advance so you'll have a smoother run. If you're going into any of the other LFG sites, not that they're bad, but it is definitely an instant gratification. You are getting immediately matched up with a group and you are rolling out the door. So set your expectations appropriately. Those are some of what I would say.
Those are really good tips, and I appreciate you sharing those with me. What I want to know, though, I'm going to have one more question after this, and then I'm going to pass the questions off to everyone else. What I want to know, though, is do you like count sheep or like, pinch your skin or something? Like how is it that you activate this patience that you were speaking of? Because while I have not lost my patience in a way that I feel is uncalled for, I also haven't put myself in a position to where here, are 4 or 5 other people who don't know what they're doing, and they're all looking at me, and I have to make sure that everyone is doing what they're doing. What is it that you do? Like, you sing like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something? Because I thought I heard you humming that. Like, you know what? Dakota was supposed to be muted there.
So sometimes, God bless America. I say that a lot. I try not to cuss. I'll just be like, oh, God bless America. Which, when I'm playing with people abroad, that always goes over really well. So, but based on the nature of what I kind of do for a living, you get a lot of experience in very chaotic situations. And one of the things I love about what I do for a living is that you're able to maybe not contain and control it, but you're able to craft it in a way that you can still make your deadline, which we have very strict, very hardcore deadlines that are met every single day. And that's what I kind of love about raiding that appeals to me, is because you're doing the same thing. You're working within a team and you are trying to get to this ultimate goal while utter chaos is going on all over. And the thing that's great about the raid is once you've done it a few times and you start to understand the mechanics, then you can start to improvise more and you can try different things. But it's going to be the same encounter every time. Your response to it may not always be the same, but the encounter's pretty much always going to be the same unless you experience a glitch. So just how everybody in your raid team reacts to it. And like I said, coming from a broadcast world where you have very significant deadlines, you definitely it's an exhilaration when you make air at the time that you need to, and it's the same thing within a raid. So I think I kind of channel a little bit of that.
Very cool. You know what I noticed at some point during the last couple of weeks? Like I've been raiding a lot every week on PlayStation and every week on Xbox, and it feels really good. It's amazing to me how much raiding kind of feels like being in a band. And I miss being in a band. Like everyone has to play their role in a certain time and tempo and key. And when you do that, when you all get to that place where everyone is playing their part, it's it's like magic. It's like nobody is even doing anything. It's like no one's even doing anything. Is how effortless it feels when everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so it's really cool to have someone like you in the group that's, clearly very masterful at this. You've got a real great personality that really helps shepherd people. Even me. You may not know this about me, but I don't know everything. Isn't that fucking crazy? So it's nice. It's nice having somebody in the group who does know everything. So I pass that off to you. I wish to question, where did video games begin for you? But more specifically, where did video games come in where you were thinking video games are something that I want to do on a regular point in time? And I'm not even talking about how much video games you play right now. I'm just talking about like when like some people are like, oh man, kayaking. I can't believe I've never done this before. And now this is my thing. When was that video games for you? Like how old were you? What video game was it that you're like, this is it? This is what I want to do for a living.
It definitely was in between my, I would say 7th and 8th grade of junior high. I'd had game systems. We had an Atari and stuff like that, but I got a Commodore 64, and Electronic Arts had these 2 games that I wasted my entire summer playing, Bard's Tale 3 and Wasteland. And oh my God, it was amazing. My mother was just kind of scared at first because I would stay up until, like, what are you doing? It was like, oh, this game, it's awesome. I'm in a dungeon and I've got to like learn these spells. And she's like, whatever. And I think that definitely, that was it for me. After that, then went back into more console gaming with like the Sega Genesis and things of that nature. Got my PlayStation 1. And then I always kind of gravitated toward, excuse me, the RPG element. Final Fantasy VII's one everybody brings up. There were so many good titles and they would constantly kind of little by little improve. And then of course you get Morrowind, and then you get into the whole world that is, the Elder Scrolls and Skyrim and all of that, and Fallout 3. And it's been amazing. And then kind of backed off a little bit and wanted to get a PlayStation 4. But what's interesting, and I pointed this out before, I didn't start Destiny until literally 2 days before The Taken King came out. So that's why I started it up for the first time. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. How long? And I had it in my library for like 6-7 months and had never touched it because I bought a used copy when I got my console. And I was just like, whoa, I liked trying COD and things of that nature. First-person shooters, I was never that great at, but man, Destiny, it did it for me. Amazing. Had all the elements that I really love in a game.
Man, that's so funny. Just thinking that you had that gem on the shelf for so long. And what a different world you would have seen had you tried it 6 months prior. But I'll tell you what, with the Taken King update, the game really became whole as far as having any idea of where you were in the story or what you needed to do next. Before the quest line update, it was a rough world. You had to just go to a planet and hope that there was a mission you didn't recognize. Excellent. Well, I'm going to pass the questions off to. We shall start with Gray today. Gray, what question or questions do you have for our very good friend Dakota?
Yeah. So my first one is actually going to come from the chat. We had a question asking that one of our chat members has had difficulty with the Templar Challenge with groups from the 100 IO, which you're on quite frequently. What method and tips does Dakota have for that encounter? The area that they struggle in is survivability of the Relic Runner. And I want you to actually start with commenting a little bit on your perspective of the 100 IO and its role in the Destiny community, and then answer their question about how do you best see a team attempting and challenging the Templar to complete that. So
when it comes to the 100, and the reason I feel its place is kind of in the top tier of the LFG world, because again, you have a trackable component with everybody who signs on to utilize that service. Everybody, they have a karma tracking system. So if you complete a raid or have a good experience with a fellow guardian on there, you give them karma. Also, it shows activity, how many times they've actually gone in and completed a full activity within the 100 using that system to set up a game and match within a raid. You and Mark were joking, I think I had like 280 or some odd such, but I also have like a 340 activity score. So those are things that when you go in and you're looking for groups that you want to join, you can look at the members and you can kind of get an idea for how your raid is going to go based upon the people that are in it. Also, you can apply for Sherpa status. Meaning that is you take people through the game and you set up Sherpa games, you get ranked and you get points for that. And I think it's like a 1 through 4 Sherpa system. And so you can look for people that are offering games to newcomers. And again, the scheduling component, you can try to get on a game. That's one area where other LFGs have a little bit of an edge because there's, again, the instant gratification format. You can instantly get into a group and then boom, you're gone. With the 100, you can schedule and you can be a little smarter about how you play. So if you know sometime during the week that you're going to have a night free, like, oh, hey, I've got nothing to do on Friday night, I'm going to go see what raids there are. And then you can tell it what kind of raid that you want. You can even tell it the type of demeanor. Do you want like try hard or do you want casual? And that will help place you into a group. And I've seen Bungie with their matchmaking try to take similar approach. And then the rest of the LFGs are very good. But again, they're just, bam, get right in there. In the times I've done, I've only, let's see, I do solo relic running now for Vault of Glass. But I've only cleared it like 30 some odd times. And I think 15 since it's gone to the 390. So it's relative, Vault of Glass I didn't touch much. It's the same with Curtis End. But I've real quickly wanted to learn how to do Sword Bearer and how to run the Relic. The things that I've noticed in the teams that I've taken through that, survivability of your Relic runner. So if you have somebody that says, hey, I can do Relic, great. That person hopefully should be able to solo that left side, take out oracles, and really kind of help get you off to a good start. The other two strats are, the two main strats I think that are in use is where you have somebody that is soloing it, and they are just basically going from teleport to teleport, back and forth, while everybody hides behind the two large pillars, the two large walls when you first get down there. And then they just pop a bubble down right in the dead center, and then you just go to town. You do as much DPS as you can, and then utilize those weapons bubbles. The other way is to, again, have the team of 5 on the far right side, and then they block the teleport, and then your Relic Runner, that actually takes the pressure off your Relic Runner. All they have to worry about is the left side. And then they can go back behind the same set of walls, and they can kind of hide out until it's time for them to come and stop the teleport. The thing that makes that strategy tricky is ad control and DPS. So you really have a lot of ads coming your way that you have to account for, and then you have the DPS component where you're trying to keep that Titan bubble right over the teleport spot, and you're trying to keep that crewed. So it's usually the responsibility of 2 individuals to create orbs and deal with ads. So if you got your Stormcaller and things of that nature, you're really going to wreck, as well as a hunter with a tether. But hopefully you're utilizing tether on the Templar as well for DPS. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. I'm more than welcome to hit me up with a direct message on Twitter or anything like that, and I'd be happy to get you into a group.
Awesome. Yep. And I would concur. We've actually run this together, Dakota, a few times, and try both strats, see which one the group seems to be responding better to. Sometimes that slow strat where you're just having 2 people cover the teleport spots, and sometimes I've done it where we've had 3 of our guys doing ad control, two of them blocking those teleports and only one person doing DPS, and it was like 20 minutes of doing damage on the Templar, but it was slow and steady, and it won the race. So it works. Certainly we tend to call it the burn them down strategy, where if you pop those bubbles and you have one relic runner covering both, you can get them down faster. It might take more wipes. I would say if you're going to try that strategy, just be patient. Don't get frustrated by the wipes. It just takes kind of that one good clean run to get it done, and it's pretty quick when you do it that way, but you might find yourself wiping a few times. So that kind of leads me to my next question is, what do you think is the hardest thing to complete in Destiny?
Oh, see, I'd actually thought about that during the week. If I had to choose, that Templar challenge is rough. But if I had to choose the single most difficult thing, it would definitely have to be Phase 2 access for challenge mode. Because you have some real basic mechanics, but they require you to have a very broad perspective in your environment. So if you are on left or right side, or especially if you're in the middle, you're having to keep tabs on your side to see if he teleports there, but then you're also having to try to keep your eye out just because you just want to position your screen where you can barely make out where the empowerment slam needs to go for supering. So that can be a really hard one to get down. And I know even within Guardian 1, we've all raided with each other the better part of a year now. A lot of our teams have. And that's still one that we can struggle with because you have somebody miss a jump, miss the empowerment, slam onto Axis's back or the supering, and then you're challenge over. You got to start again. The thing that I love about that is somewhat forgiving about Axis is it definitely is nowhere near the duration of trying to down Oryx. I love Oryx a lot. In King's Fall, that's my personal favorite raid. And I think the thing that's a tough one because Oryx can be difficult because it's definitely not forgiving. If you mess up something within it, or you don't get your blight set in the right spot, like you let an ogre run out just a little bit, that can be awfully tricky, and it's not forgiving because it's a very long encounter. And then you wipe and we got to go do it all over again. At least with Axis Phase 2, it's a much shorter encounter. So I tend to find most, even newer teams, can generally get that done in three total turns. And then the best I've ever personally done is we did 2, but we really should have had them down in 1. We've been practicing 1 with 6 golden guns. That's been fun. We just get them down to a sliver.
Awesome. Those are great answers. I'm going to pass it on to the other panelists. Let's go to Sharks.
Well, okay. So let's go straight into what you do. You go to LFGs, whether it be the 100 or whatnot, and a lot of people have issues with LFGs. Why is it that you think going in, especially through the 100, let's really promote them, because I know that they're a really good group. Why is it, do you think, that it's easier for people to maybe do it that way, to get people kind of into doing LFGs? Because, you know, even Bungie wants to kind of promote it through BNet and everything else. They know it's a really good way of building the community. Why do you think that maybe doing it through a place like the 100 is the way to go?
Again, you have a little bit more intel, so you can make a little bit better informed decision before you decide to go out with that particular group of raiders. Everybody has the ability to fill out some sort of bio, so you can read. You can select your play style, again, whether or not you're sweaty. You can even do profanity. If profanity is an issue for you, you can check, I don't want to be in a group that has a problem with profanity. So it's very customizable. I would say get a feel for your group early on. I would say basic politeness is one of the biggest lacking things that I think people will complain about within an LFG environment. People are like, oh, he rage quitted. That happens, and that will happen in a group of random strangers. But if you can kind of get a feel for that and just be honest with the group, I think everybody appreciates a little bit more open communication than just, oh, I'm out, and just totally disconnecting. Say, you know what, this is great, but it's not quite working for me, guys. I'll give it one more shot, and then I'm gonna move on. Wish you guys luck. Something like that would go over far better than you guys suck, I've heard it happening. I'm very thankful that I haven't experienced it that much, but it does happen. And when you kind of get a sense for that, or if somebody says something along the lines in their advertisement, must have XXX, it's going to mean one of two things: that they're a really experienced group that wants to get it done fast, or that's somebody who has probably never done it before and they want to be carried. And there are plenty of websites that can help you make those types of decisions. And one of the things that's cool about the 100 is as you scroll down on each character page, there's a link for every person in your group, in your party, to Destiny stats. And all you have to do is click it, and it brings up exactly how many times they've cleared this particular raid, whether it's hard mode, normal mode, whatever. So you have an idea of what you're getting into. The other thing, go ahead.
No, well, what I was going to say is, so now you as a person that has done lots and lots and lots of LFGs. Now, myself and Agros, we've done our fair share, and you, even with the breakdown that the 100 have, and I personally haven't used it, but I mean, it really sounds like a great system. But you're always going to find that one person, right? There's going to be that one person that either they just put it so that they could get into a group, or whatever it is, and you get that person into your group. How do you personally deal with that person or persons that are either disruptive or you just can't finish it? I mean, there are times that, oh God, there are times recently that Agros and I have gotten into LFG groups, and I'm just like, this is never going to end. How long are we going to sit here and do this? You know, and it's like, oh, I don't want to leave Agros, and I know Agros thinks the same thing. I don't want to leave Sharks. You know, it's like we just sit there and we push through it, and then usually,
there's a certain amount of. It would be really awesome to get these people through, and I know it's me and you doing it.
Right.
So, you know, like there is a certain amount of that would be awesome to get these folks through. They're not going to make it without this type of bill, you know.
Yeah, and I know that Dakota feels the same way. So what is your stopping point? How do you personally decide, okay, enough is enough. We got to stop. We can't do this anymore, you know.
You know, it really kind of depends, knowing what your limits are. And if you're not having fun anymore, then it's probably not worth wasting more of your time. And that's where you can just say, you know, it's been great. I really appreciate everybody's help, but I'm going to bow out now and let you find somebody that can help you out. And just be cool about it. I've had groups where you have an individual that has enhancements that maybe you'd wish they weren't bringing in. And you try to chill that out in the best ways possible. And usually my tactic is to engage them in conversation. Whereas all it took was, I can think of a Kingsfall raid where we'd gotten in and we just really weren't getting past the totems. We finally did, and then we weren't getting the challenge on War Priest. And the person that was doing the most talking, that's just, they needed to over communicate, and they were starting to get kind of agitated and upset and like, oh, come on guys, we can do this, we got this, and you need to do this and this and this. Well, after engaging in a little bit of conversation, I realized he'd only cleared it a couple of times. So most of what he was trying to speak was everything that he'd seen on videos. And it was like, oh, well, I totally get where you're coming from, and I've seen a lot of those too, but can we try it this way? Because I think we're having some problems on this side. You know, let's give it a couple shots. If it doesn't work, I'm game. We'll go back to what you want to try. And usually that's, if you can get buy-in to where, get somebody to just try something for a wipe or two. And if they're not willing to do that, again, it's probably not the group for you, and you should probably move on. There have been times where, you know, I've gone out with our group, and we didn't quite get it done, and it left me, you probably didn't know it, but it left me really salty. So I went to LFG and spent like the next 4 hours going, I'm going to clear this, damn it. So.
Yeah, from now on, I was just thinking about it like Sharks was saying, like, oh, you know, Agrios says, "Oh, I don't want to leave you," and Shark says, "Oh, I don't want to leave you." And then I'm thinking, as soon as you said that, I was thinking about that scene from the movie Without a Paddle, where it was Matthew Lillard and Seth Green, and like Seth Green, as Matthew Lillard's like, "Oh," he's like, they say they see a bear, right? And Matthew Lillard, they're like, "Oh crap," and then the one guy takes his shoes off, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I run faster without my shoes on." And he's like, "You can't outrun a bear." And he's like, "I only need to outrun you." And so I'm thinking to myself, how do I get myself out of these horrible situations? And what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to bring my youngest downstairs and wake him up in the middle of the night. I'm going to hand him a popsicle. And then I'm going to take that popsicle away and I'm going to unmute my microphone. I'm going to be like, "Oh, gotta go."
Yeah.
Sharks, I believe that was yours. Continue.
Yeah, no, that's where I wanted to go with it. So, it's again, I say this to everybody that comes on the podcast. It's really nice hearing a different perspective, not just for myself, but for everybody that's listening. Agrios and I go through and we do all kinds of crazy shit and then pull Remy into it and say, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. But hearing something new from somebody, even somebody within our own clan, is very refreshing to hear. So I appreciate the extra ways of looking upon stuff. So I'm gonna pass it on to somebody else. Remy, you can pick whoever you want to go next. You're muted.
Why don't we go to Agrios? Agrios, what question or questions do you have for Dakota Dark?
Worst raid ever, followed by funniest raid ever. Name names if we're friends so we can make fun of them.
Okay, I actually, my worst raid ever includes everybody here except for Gray and Jez.
You know what that means?
Right.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know which raid that is, and I'm not happy with you for making him say that.
Our first Wrath of the Machine raid, because I'd been in the clan for a while, but to be invited, I was excited, and I was really hoping that we could get it done. And oh my gosh, the sheer willpower that everybody displayed by staying in it as long as we did on the first day was unreal. But I hated it because I felt a personal stress of like, oh my God, I'm not pulling up my own weight. We've got to get through this. Otherwise, maybe they won't like me anymore. I don't know, but that was rough.
Do you think that stress you felt had anything to do with the fact that you just kept dying over and over?
Maybe.
Just to make you feel better, Dakota. Just to make you feel better. Like, I was super stressed that day too. I was so frustrated, and I wanted to kill everybody in that raid. So it was just a frustrating time because we didn't get it done, So we needed to stop. That's what it came down to. But we had too many strong-willed people that didn't want to stop.
If it makes you feel any better, Dakota, I was the person who pushed to have you in the group.
Well, it'll be better putting in for Destiny too. It'll be better. My favorite part of the day though was discovering that the buttons closed the doors for the SIVA containment in Bosik. Oh, that was like it for me. I was like, all right, I did that. I'm good. So
that's cool.
That was my contribution.
That's very cool.
So yeah, that was probably the one, because I hate disappointing people. And my better half, Oli Smokes You. That's one of the things that stresses her out about raiding, because she does not want to be the one to weigh people down. She gets real stressed about that. Let's see. So it was funniest raid ever, and I would probably.
Or funniest raid experience. It doesn't have to be like the funniest raid ever, but funniest thing that happened to you in a raid.
Pick just about any time I've raided with Mark Square, and that's probably he is just amazing to have in raids. Probably Oli's first attempt at Wrath of the Machine was funny because we were all G1 in our group, and we get to Axis, and I think we'd wiped like 2 or 3 times. and I could definitely tell that she was stressed. So we get to go into Access Space 2, and it just worked out perfectly that every time she was empowered, I wasn't. She would hand me her controller, and I would park my hunter in a corner not to get hit. I would do the slam, the back slam, and then hand it back to her real quick, and then I'd be empowered. So that's probably the most fun. That's probably one of my most funny moments, because it was just like, whoa, what are we doing? And then I'll share this one, and it's kind of unrelated, but probably the raid that meant the most to me. Do you guys? Some of you have raided with Bear, and he is a police officer. I won't say where he's at, but he had an officer in his department that was shot last summer. And one of the things that speaks to me most about this Destiny community, and one of the reasons I do what I do, is because of guys like that. What had happened was an officer was shot within his department, and they were trying to do things to help the family out. And it just so happened his son was a big Destiny fan. As a 14-year-old, hadn't really leveled up anything. So he made it his personal mission to get this kid leveled. And we leveled 3 characters for him in the span of 5 days, staying up like late all night raiding. And that's probably been my most magical Destiny moment. That's probably my favorite raid ever, getting that kid's light level up. And he was beyond excited to be able to give back and to do something like that. It was just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. And you know what? Even for someone like me who has completed the, raids before, nightfalls before, I even fall prey to this idea that, some of these things are too daunting. Like, am I really going to get together a raid group? And then so for the longest time I didn't raid, and for the longest time I didn't do nightfalls. I mean, this coincided with there not being any real push. Who cares about getting to light level 400 if really there's nothing at the end of 400? If all the content is 390 and below, why bother getting to 400? It doesn't matter. And so, but even for me, being able to get through content every week feels magical. Like just on a level of, I can't do this by myself. There's no way I'm soloing King's Fall. I could probably solo Crota, but that's pushing it. And so in order to get through this content, with people, it does mean a lot. It does mean a lot. And that's really cool that's your favorite. Agrios, is that all you had for Dakota?
Yeah, I think that wraps it up.
Excellent. Dakota, I know that you're a fan of the show, and so you know that the next person to ask questions is like the magic man as far as magical questions. Like I always turn to Jez when I need like the heavy hitting questions. Jez, what question, or most likely questions, do you have for our good friend Dakota?
You were really off the mark with that lampshade in there. I was kind of going to ask what your favorite raid to play is, but that might have already been covered.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think I've said King's Fall is kind of my personal favorite, and I think one of the main reasons for that is probably the main reason a lot of Year 1 players say there's nothing better than Vault of Glass. I like Vault of Glass just fine, and it's a good raid.
You just stop right there. Go ahead and complete whatever other part of the sentence you're going to complete, but I think that's enough right there.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Piss him off.
The most fun to play. I would probably say Wrath of the Machine, because it's so team oriented. Everybody's got to do something, and as much as it's cool to have those shining hero moments in the other raids, I just love the fact that everybody gets in on it. And I think that to me is like the ultimate team effort. And when you clear that, then you've really accomplished something, and that's cool.
So I actually have a secondary question, so much to his surprise, and my surprise because I thought it up a second ago. What do you like to see more in a raid? Do you like to see challenges that involve like gun skill, like making sure all the Vex don't reach the totems type of thing? Or do you like to see a mechanics heavy it really doesn't matter if you are really good at guns, as long as you complete the mechanics, you're good.
Oh, that's a real good question. I like to see the balance between both, because I think the mechanic is what allows the shooting to shine. You get to a mechanic and then everybody just unloads, whether it be on a boss or take Bosic, which is real difficult with ad control, and then you kind of also have to be on top of your game, throwing the clusters and everything like that. I think for me, Wrath of the Machine kind of hits those right notes. Vault of Glass is amazing in that way too. The opening of Crota is wonderful because it's just total mayhem. But you've got a real minor mechanic there where you've got to get to the lamp, but then it just shoot the crap out of everything. And try not to die and explode Thrall next to your buddies. So I would like to see both. I'm very excited that Luke Smith is heading up Destiny 2 because I think what's been said about Kingsfall kind of being raid college, that really excites me for the possibilities of what they might try to unleash. I would really like to see some sort of, like I'd mentioned, like a Sparrow or something, some sort of timed event where you have to get from one place to another, kill a bunch of stuff, and it's a much longer.
Are you saying you want them to do the same thing they do at the end of every Halo that they made?
No, not quite, but just a different mechanic. There are mechanics we have not experienced yet, and I'm looking forward to see what they try.
Something I really want them to do, especially since you brought up that Luke is heading like the entire thing, or not really the entire thing, but he's quite high up there in the chain of command now. I want them to start moving those raid mechanics closer to strikes. That way you are training for raids in strikes.
Not to get off the subject, but I love the fact that Remy just picked up his green screen, kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You get to see behind the curtain. That was pretty like that.
Do not pay any mind
totally
to the man behind the curtain.
to the young woman in the red. I totally agree with you on the strikes. It was kind of fun for me getting a couple of these redone strikes with Age of Triumph, or was it? Yeah, with Age of Triumph, where it brought back the mechanic, and it was like, hey, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to go back into Vault of Glass, so get used to shooting things with the Relic again. I'd like to see quite a few of those brought into strikes.
Does that answer your question, Jez?
Sure.
Jez,
I mean,
he's
answering the question. You ask him if he answered the question.
Well, no, but like you asked the question.
I'm a satisfied question asker.
That's what I was looking for. Jez, actually, I have a question for you. So you played WoW before you played Destiny, correct?
Yep.
And so how many different raids had you done in WoW before you played Destiny?
Roughly 10 or so.
Okay, so now when you played Destiny and you went into this, you played Destiny and you made your point. 10 is a good number. And you played Destiny and you played Vault of Glass. Was there anything in there for you, like after having played 10 different raids in this giant game? Was there excitement and was there adventure and were you happy with your playtime in Destiny? Because I feel like the more I find out about WoW, the more, I mean, just huge. It's huge. You're talking about 40 plus players in an area doing one raid. This is nuts. And so I'm curious to know if when you played Vault of Glass, if you thought it was cool, was it a good time?
Firstly, when I started doing raids, we were scaled down to 25-man raids.
Okay.
But
that's still nuts. Nuts.
There's a lot of like similarities between a Destiny raid and a WoW raid, but at the same time, there's a lot of difference. You can't do multi-level combat in a WoW raid. It very much feels like a top-down experience, but something that WoW raids can do that Destiny raids can't is throw fire at your feet.
What do you mean?
Because you're zoomed out, you're third person in World of Warcraft. You can see you're in fire really easy, but you can't just like throw feet at someone's fire in Destiny and be like, get out before it starts burning you, because by the time you know it, it's already burning you.
Right. You know what? I kind of feel like that's where the mechanic for legions came in. When they leave that pool on the ground, like it's very bright, but you're right. They're not making it chase you. You will know where it happens.
Yeah, because you're actively making the pools by shooting them.
Yeah,
and
so that's pretty cool.
That's pretty. Don't stand in shit is a pretty common thing in World of Warcraft, but they can't really do that in Destiny just because.
And life. I mean, it's good advice for life in general.
Yeah.
You have more forward awareness. Like you can see further straight forward in Destiny, whereas in World of Warcraft you see more around you.
That's true. That's true. Do you think that holding the sword buys you enough real estate on your screen that would be feasible?
If they did have a third person like hold the artifact in the raid mechanic, like everyone held an artifact like at the end of the bridge in Kurtizen now, they could get away with some of that shit. Like when you're doing Golgoroth and you get tainted and you have to run away from your party.
Yes.
In World of Warcraft, that's very common. Except in World of Warcraft, they have you run off to a designated place, drop something, and it persists on the floor. Most of the rage mechanics in World of Warcraft are like soft rage mechanics, where it's, well, you got too much shit on the ground, you can't keep people up, you lost. It's not and he swipes and kills you all. It's well, you didn't manage where you put all the garbage on the ground.
Interesting. Very interesting.
There's a lot of real estate that Destiny hasn't covered that they could tap into, but it would be really hard to translate into a 3D or first-person shooter.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Gray, did you have any more questions for Dakota before we move on?
I do have a question for Dakota. So, obviously, like the rest of us on the panel,
my significant other's in the other room pumping questions to him.
Yeah. Her questions are pretty intimate, though. I might wait for later to ask those. My question is, we devote a lot of time and energy into this game. If not Destiny, then what? What would you be doing, Dakota?
Oh goodness. Wow, I probably would have. Number one, I would probably not be playing nearly as much gaming as I do. I just try to keep it kind of scheduled, so that way real life, real life can still happen, and have those kind of sweet moments for a little improv. But I'd probably be playing some other games. I wouldn't have burned off of Skyrim after playing all of about 4 hours, or Horizon Zero Dawn, which I love, which I'm not even 30% through. I would actually complete other games, which I haven't done in 2 years. So, and I would probably, I'd probably spend a little bit more time. I've just started doing some volunteer stuff with Oli. She's very big into that, and she's kind of opened my eyes to needs that I didn't even know existed. So that's probably some of what I'd be doing with my time.
That's awesome. And those needs that you didn't know existed, that's kind of the rest of Oli's questions, so I'll wait for later to ask those.
I was just going to say that. Okay, great. So does anyone else have anything left they need to ask Dakota about before we move on to the Destiny news? No? Oh, Jez? You? Yeah?
I'm typing to the chat.
Okay, great. Well then, first, before we move on, I wanted to say really quick, a big Guardian 1 welcome to Riot. Welcome to Guardian 1. You've been a friend of the group for a long time, and it's very nice to have you as part of the group. Added today, talk to him in chat. Enjoy his company. Great player. Over 130 flawless clears. That's crazy. That's crazy. also a big PvP or a big PvEer, very very talented individual, very funny, very patient. Great to have you on board, Riot. Okay, Agrios, what do we have going on in the world of Destiny? And I have 2 questions that I want to talk about before we leave. Should I ask those questions now, or should I wait until after your news?
Go ahead and ask them now.
Okay, so I'm curious to know, I've been thinking a lot about this. I kind of feel like 2 things are going to happen in this Destiny. And really, I'm looking for even just Jez to tell me I'm wrong, which is cool. So the first thing
I'm waiting
thinking...
for you to finish the sentence.
I appreciate that.
Actually? Is it something that I need to give some background on real quick? What's the main gist of what you're going to ask right now?
Okay, so the first thing is about our lack of light. And then the other thing is about the lack of reality in it. Like, for example, the Rise of Iron.
Just go with your questions.
Okay. So the first thing that I'm thinking is going from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 1 contained guns that only had cooldown. You didn't have to worry about ammo. Everything was just... It was just there for you. You just had to wait for a reload. You had to wait for a cooldown. Going into Mass Effect 2, you actually had to pick up ammo. And so I'm curious to know if anyone here thinks that, because I was thinking about it, and wouldn't it be crazy if they explode, they destroy the Traveler, right? They blow it into a billion trillion pieces, and this is the ammo. We find these little pieces, and this is what we use to charge our super, to charge our light, is we have to find ammo for our special. This is just an open question. Anyone can throw in what they think about this. I'll ask Gray because he always looks like he has something on his mind. Gray, what do you think about this? What do you think about they destroy the Traveler, and now we have, it's not just something that charges naturally. You have to go and earn this through a series of either finding resources laying on the ground or destroying enemies who may be carrying these resources. What do you think about that?
There's certain aspects to it that I really like to tie in the lore of Destiny. But then there's parts of it that I don't like from a game mechanic standpoint. Well, I'll circle back to the lore part, right? So think about how there's that mission on the moon where you find that the Hive have a shard of the Traveler and are trying to extract light from it. Do you remember that part? That mission
yes.
from Vanilla? So it would make sense that if the Traveler has been destroyed, that if you could find remnants of the Traveler, that could help at least temporarily give you access to light, which you may need until some other long-standing source of light is created. So from continuity, I think it actually makes quite a bit of sense. One of my biggest fears going to Destiny 2 is how are they going to remove your access to light, remove your powers, you lose your space magic, and then actually really feel comfortable that the experience from Destiny 1 is congruent with what you're experiencing in Destiny 2 as you regain that light from either a different source or something lame like repairing the Traveler, which I don't necessarily know that I like the idea of us being able to repair something that is so foreign and just alien to our experience and who we are as Guardians necessarily. So I like that. But with that said, from a mechanic standpoint, I find that to be kind of tedious to say that I got to go find these things to replenish my light to get to experience the space magic that we all love in this game.
I think that there's a way that they could do it that would also, like you're saying, for the experience to be congruent. I think that what this is doing is this is just taking away the waiting mechanic. I feel like if you're going and you're defeating enemies, you will be building it up at a similar pace. I don't think that they want you to have that power fantasy. They want you to feel empowered. But this actually leads into my second question. And again, if anyone has anything they want to say about this, I'm wondering how permanent this lack of tower is going to be. Because in Rise of Iron, the thing that bothered me the most, and actually the thing that bothered me the most throughout Destiny, is that there was no actual penalty for being in this world. There was no real hardship per se. So like, are they going to blow up the tower and then six levels later, we're going to go back to the tower? Or are we going to be out in the wild for good? Are we going to have much smaller towns where we will be hanging out, like maybe more like a couple reefs instead of one tower? Agrios, you look like you have something on your mind. What do you think about this? Are they just going to give it back to us? Is this just a story plot point and it's not going to really matter in the game? Or are we about to face, an actual hardship in the game, which I would be interested in? I'm looking forward to. Go.
Well, we know so little right now. Okay, the tower. A lot of times, I think this is confused by the community, and this is half Destiny's fault for its weak relating of the social structures and what's going on, the environments for us to interact with in Destiny 1, for whatever the limitations were that caused that. But the tower is not the city, and the city is not the tower. So whether just our headquarters, for instance, like if God forbid this ever happened, but if an enemy came in and blew up the White House, and that's all they did, they blew up the White House. It's not really, that big a deal. It's just one building in our whole country. Our country's still going to be perfectly fine.
So you're thinking that maybe just our tower went? Because I feel like
a strategic military target is taken out by a military force that's super military minded. That seems pretty legitimate, that they wouldn't just blow up the rest of the city with the civilians in it. That doesn't seem like a very honorable military thing to do.
So do you think that it's possible that they would, at the end of some amount of story missions, give us back to like another tower, like a different tower, and a different part of the city?
Why would we? Like, if the Cabal have such presence there, and we were so vulnerable as to have taken that attack there, why would we go back and set up headquarters there? Wouldn't we make a better stronghold somewhere?
This is a good question, and
and also, while we're here on me, I have one other thing I'd like to say there. Are we certain that we're not going to have the light at the start of the game? Is it possible that we're going to start Destiny 2 with our powers as we have them now, and play the first mission or so with full powers that we have now, and then have them ripped away from us during the beginning of the game?
I do like it when games do that. They give you all of the powers at the very beginning, and you go through like the training mission. Prototype did that. It was really cool. But yeah, that's not a bad way of thinking about it.
Yeah,
and maybe we don't even have to find anything to get the light. We just already have the light within us and need to retrain ourselves how to use it. And that would explain a new subclass type effect.
What were you saying, Gray?
Why have Hawthorne? Why is she a factor?
Gray, what do you think?
I was more commenting on how another game that did that was God of War 3, taking away your powers, but you got to have them at the start of the game. And I think that really helps with the continuity of the storyline. I'd rather have it be that, get to experience it and have it taken away early in the game, than just to have some cutscene. And then you're supposed to just believe that the cutscene is kind of explaining why you are where your experience is. As far as the Hawthorne thing, that's a wild card in my book. I'm really interested to see how that Hawthorne character is going to play into our journey as Guardians in Destiny 2.
Sharks, what do you think about all this? What do you think about the idea of limited and needing to be earned light in order to use your abilities? And what do you think about, is this going to be something where we are, face this hardship for a couple of missions and then we're right back to cozy with, a safe place to be?
I don't. Okay, so I think that Bungie has learned that there has to be what you want to call hardship for extended periods of time if you want the game to last. So I could see them coming in and not doing it just for a couple missions. It's going to be like, okay, so you don't have it. You're like you were vanilla Destiny. You don't have anything, and you have to slowly become more powerful. So I don't think it's going to be even mission based. I think it's going to be, you're going to be leveling up your character for so long. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's exciting. It's exciting in all games. So I'm looking forward to that. What was the second part of the question?
Whether or not you think that Destiny will be moving to a ammo type economy for light. Like instead of it being just a recharge thing where you can just stand still and it comes back naturally, it's something that you have to either scrounge from resources on planets or something you have to take off of an enemy when you kill them, like ammo.
I don't think that they're going to change the ammo economy like that. I think, a lot of people are speculating, and all this has to do with the collector's edition and getting that solar pack with the bag, right? And a lot of people are kind of saying, well, is it a way for us to charge our supers since we don't have power from, in theory, this is all theoretical, because we don't have power from the traveler, so we have to come up with a way to get power. Is it for ammo? I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be for something else, something that we're not even thinking of, something extra, which is the exciting part of playing a new game. They've come up with, now in order to do this, you have to charge it with this. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it's not anything to do with what we're thinking at all.
I'm down with that. I think that's reasonable. Jez, what do you think about these things?
It would be an interesting mechanic. I was thinking more along the lines of the your super as ammo, which they kind of already have with the orbs, but you're thinking more like orbs are always dropping, and that's the only way you get super energy, right?
Yeah. Instead of there being any kind of natural regeneration, orbs would be the only way that you would pick it up.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to do it, because it would emphasize, like, actually going
earning
out there. Well, it's not so much the earning it, it's the instead of like shooting something and you just getting that super energy, you actually have to physically go over there and pick it up. Because there's many times when you shoot something, it's like, I really want that heavy ammo, but I don't want to get out in the fire. And this would be the same, except it would be, I really want my super, but I can't. Maybe if I get that super energy, I'll be able to go invisible. Like that type of tactical decisions that you have to make would put an interesting spin on it. In regards to the second thing, yeah, I think the trope of being Metroided after having every power that you normally would have is pretty common, though. So I don't know if they would really want to do that. It's easier to just say, like, just like someone hit a dimmer switch, you just hold down all your super energy, and you're stuck in this like dim state. So you have to work your way up to getting that light back, whether it's through the traveler or through sheer force of will of your own. What if we become the light?
It's a catch-22. There's a power creep situation. Like, there's no way. It's more about how are you going to explain it than whether or not you have to do it.
Also, that would mean that one level where you have all the powers can never be replayed.
Where you have all the powers?
Yeah, because then it would just be confusing.
I see what you're saying. Dakota, what do you think about this idea? These ideas?
It's intriguing. It definitely increases the risk-reward factor. So, and I think the thing that appeals to me is I think it becomes way more tactical. You really have to decide risk versus reward. Am I going to go? I'm going to try to build that versus timer-based, which it is currently. I think that would be a very interesting move for them to make, where you're always going to get that super, whereas it sounds like the way you're describing it, it's something that you would have to actually work toward. Or you'd actually have to make a conscious decision that, okay, I want to build my super. I'm going to go get it.
Totally. Okay.
Just one more thought before we move on to that, Remy. With what they're doing to end Destiny 1, with both the what are they called? The daybreak strikes, where your supers recharge super fast. We're obviously going into Mayhem Iron Banner. We've been doing it now for a few days. Since we're enjoying space magic at its peak, right? We get as much space magic just drinking from the fountain. That starts to make me feel a little bit like when Destiny 2 launches, we're not going to have space magic for quite some time.
Yeah, are you talking like multiple missions?
It might be multiple missions, story arcs. What if it's the kind of thing that you're in 15 hours into the gameplay time before you start getting to use space magic again in any capacity?
I mean, this interests me. I'm very interested in hardship. I'm very interested in the odds being stacked against us. I'm very interested in having all of our stuff taken away. You know, it'll be a nice change. It'll be nice to start over. So I don't know.
One thing I would add just to that is that I would like to see is what if you have the opportunity to build whatever, so maybe they have a set 12 different subclass supers. What if, no matter what character class you choose, you have the ability to just kind of build 3 from that, and you can just build whatever you want out of those 12. That might be interesting.
I advocated the sphere grid a long time ago.
Jez wants to be credited on that statement. Dakota.
It'll never happen, but it'd be nice.
Hashtag credit Jez.
Always credit me, even if I never came up with it, because maybe I did. And if I did, I want to know. I want to mention, though, that here's another credit to Jez. I mentioned a while ago that this Age of Triumph and Daybreak Strikes and now Mayhem Iron Banner, I'm like, it's all a celebration of light. And it's just all going to be torn away from us because we're too busy celebrating. Like, yeah, we kicked their ass. We're so good. And then Gull's going to kick our ass. And then we're like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exciting to me. That is very exciting to me. Yeah, I like that. I'll credit you, Jez. That's cool.
I don't really know if they are going to go with that angle of him coming in while we are super boastful of our power and like knocking us down a peg. But if they do, that'll be perfect for a nice slice of humble pie.
You know what I really want to see in all of this is I really want to see like a fight. I don't want it to be just one stomp and then that was it. We didn't see it coming. I want to see those cannons on both sides of the tower.
There is a fight, and with hope, we're in it. We just know it happens. We just don't know if it happened in the past before Destiny 2 or at the start of Destiny 2. Maybe that's where you get Metroided. Maybe that's where your powers are super at their peak and you're like, yeah, I can take on this planet.
Right, that would be cool. I would actually like that. I would actually like it if they continued into Destiny 2 on that power trip that Gray really, outlined, and then that's when you get it pulled out from underneath you. I think that would be really cool.
Spoilers for that first mission. If it is that fight, we lose.
Okay. Anything else on this before we move on? Excellent. Agrios. What do we have in the world of Destiny?
Okay, well, before we get into game talk, let's talk about the fundraising that Bungie's doing recently. They had Bungie Foundation manager Christine Edwards join them on the weekly update this week. She says that the Men in Kilts fundraising competition was a huge success. The event raised a record $88,960 in support of the Ronald McDonald House, equating to 2,965 nights in which a patient and their family will not have to pay for housing while they receive treatment at the Seattle Children's Hospital. Your generosity put Bungie squarely in first place as Kings of the Kilt with 30,000 raised. Cool. She goes on to say that they're shifting their focus to the Gauntlet Tabletop tournament fundraiser now, supporting Treehouse. If you're able to support by Sunday, May 21st, there is a series of rewards they have, including emblems, programmer art, playing with a Bungie dev, and even lunch with Team Bungie. Transportation and lodging not included.
I like that one the most because I'm already here. Let's raise $500 and I'll go tear those people a new one. I mean, have a nice lunch with them. Continue.
So, anybody have anything else I want to say about the fundraising or anything like that? That's all I had to say about that before I moved on.
I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Bungie is very giving, and it's nice to be part of a community who also shares in that giving spirit. So,
excellent. The next Bungie bounty will be I'm not sure how you say his name. Arx. Did I say his name? Arx.
Azrex.
Azrex. Okay, there you go.
No, I don't think that's not how it's spelled. That's not how it said. Is it? I thought it was Eric's.
Arekkz. Not sure how you pronounce his name.
Eric's.
But I've been familiar with him and following him in the Destiny community.
I thought it was Arex.
Well, whatever it is, it's definitely not what Shark said. Continue.
He resides in the United Kingdom, and it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific on 5/13, May 13th, on Xbox One on the Control playlist, so check that out. There's Destiny server maintenance and downtime scheduled this week, coming up after this week. Wednesday, May 17th, to start at 10 a.m. Pacific. Expected completion times 2 p.m. Pacific. They tend to go just a little longer, though, usually. And players will be unable to sign into Destiny servers for the duration of the maintenance, and additionally, Bungie.net and the Destiny companion features will also be unavailable. Iron Banner Mayhem. Auto rifles, machine guns, chest pieces, and boots. Having fun slinging some super, Remy?
Nope. I haven't done it once. I've sat down to do it 2 times. I've had 2 nights in front of me, and I just have chosen to do behind-the-scenes work for Guardian 1. I plan on it. I plan on going and enjoying some super action. I hear that a lot of people are getting some crazy hate mail. I've never received hate mail, even though I feel like I've done pretty good in some matches. Huh?
Just why? Why are people sending hate mail during Mayhem Clash? It's Mayhem. Like,
I don't know. Some people are salty. Some people take it way too serious. But yeah, like I've seen a lot of people talk about like they're not allowed to play with Golden Gun or else they get hate mail. And so I don't know. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting all of the. I think this time through, I'm going to try and get up to level 5 on both systems, and I'm going to try and get all 100 kills on each of my characters for the Age of Triumph book.
Great for completing those books for sure. Right. It's a lot of fun too. I rather enjoy it for a change. I've been having a lot of fun in it this week so far. And
what are you playing it as?
Well, I started as my hunter. That I'm almost done with the hunter now, and I'll move on to the Titan next. Those are the ones that I had to get the most stuff done in my books for, so they're the ones I started off playing. But I'd rather enjoy it. I was doing the Gunslinger, of course, the helmet with the 4 golden gunshots and all that. And I'll move on to a Striker Titan with all those lightning grenades flying everywhere. And if I still have time, then I'll finish off with my Stormcaller probably, or maybe probably my Voidwalker. I'm not gonna lie, I always love my Voidwalker in PvP. So tomorrow night we have an interesting G1 event. Gray.
Yeah. Way to throw me to the promo because I have it ready. In fact. So you'll see on the screen right now, we are going to be having the Iron Banner and Brews Mayhem Clash Edition. It'll be on this channel, the Guardian 1 Network channel, Friday, May 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 Eastern. And so it'll be the same thing that we normally do with some silly challenges. We'll have some fun. We'll see if we can get Remy mad enough to drop a few F-bombs. We'll get probably super loaded and have a blast. So I hope that you guys can come out and watch and enjoy our Guardian 1 shenanigans.
Excellent. Dakota, have you had a chance to play any of this Iron Banner?
This will be the first Iron. Well, I haven't played. I'm sorry, this particular Iron Banner. I thought you were talking about Iron Banner and Bruise. This will be the first one I'm missing. I'm sad. But no, I've just been raiding this week. It's King's Fall time.
Got it. Jez, does Mayhem Clash Iron Banner hold anything for you?
I mean, in the sense that it's probably the fastest Iron Banner to level up in. Yeah, maybe.
Is it? There's a noticeable difference?
Well, matches end faster. That's the only noticeable difference.
Interesting. What are the usual times that you're seeing?
I haven't seen any. I just know that more people dying means faster matches. Whether you win or lose is up to the draw, but
got it. Sharks, what do you think about this Iron Banner? Are you enjoying it? And how much faster are these matches going?
Okay, so everybody that knows anything about me knows I hate Mayhem. I hate Mayhem. It's not fun. You're not shooting. You're throwing grenades. You're doing supers. You're doing whatever. You're doing shit like what Mark Square made us do during the pre-show. Horrible.
Oh, did he do it? Did he
Hey, Shark.
I like to go in.
I got an idea. If you want to shoot, play Gunslinger.
No, you're still not shooting people.
Did he use my idea on the pre-show?
No, I hate it. I hate Mayhem. And before anybody questions it, okay, I don't hate Mayhem because I'm not good at it. I hate it because I like to shoot people, okay? I don't like to do all the other stuff. So, it's just not as fun for me. But I enjoy Iron Banner. I enjoy playing with my friends. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy getting drunk because of the rules that they're coming up with for this Bruise and Iron Banner. But yeah, I like it. I'm having as much fun as I can with Mayhem.
Got it. How many matches would you say you've played?
I don't know, 100.
Get anything good?
No. There isn't anything good to draw from my
Mark has everything already.
I don't need anything, so no, nothing good. No.
Sharks could wait. Let me rephrase this question, Remy. Sharks, could any rewards that would be good drop for you?
No.
So there you go. It's a loaded question.
There's nothing left for me. I don't need anything. Like, okay, so for instance, let's go to this. Let's back it up a second. Okay, so last week, everybody was like, get the palindrome. Get the palindrome. I've got a gun way better than that palindrome. Why would I go waste my vault space on that? So no, there's nothing good. I play because I enjoy playing, and I enjoy playing with the people that I play with. So yeah, but anyways.
Alrighty, Agros, what about you? You're out there enjoying these things, and did you get anything good? Is there anything for you in Iron Banner?
No. Well, there could be good things. I like the hand cannon and the heavy machine gun, but I already have got like god rolls on those, so like they can't really do better. I am rounding off the few things in my inventories that weren't 400 yet. I am rounding those all off. Like it's coming to the point now where I don't have anything that's not 400 anymore. So I mean, I am getting something out of it, but
I know. Oh, look at this!
All hand cannons.
Wait a second. No, hold on. So get everything in your vault. Oh, god dang it! I'm trying to scroll up.
We got the idea.
Here's the spoiler: you don't need all those things in your vault.
I know. And then by raiding a lot, you get all of your armor. Oops. As well.
You bring up.
Although I don't have the revenue.
You bring up a good point there, Remy. That for people who play a lot of this game, we are now definitely in the phase where there's not really things that we're chasing except experiences. You know, there's definitely the members of the Destiny community who still want to get those challenges knocked out, still want to finish off some raids. You know, now is a really good time to do that. But in terms of loot, especially for players who play a lot like us on this panel, I'm not sure that, for one, I don't necessarily want Bungie to throw out any more loot carrots for me personally, right? There's not really anything else I want to chase after with such a short window before Destiny 2 comes out. More than anything, they need to keep doing what they're doing and mixing up these experiences and making them worthwhile, even without it having that loot tied to it. At the end of the game, like, I could care less for an Iron Banner match what the drops are, right? All it's going to be is more things I have to delete off my character so I can move other weapons over I want to try out or something. The loot's just not in it right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know what's really crazy?
I like hearing that. I just want to say I like hearing that from other people, okay? Because that's really what this game has become over the last few years. It's about playing with your friends. In fact, that's the whole reason I played this game to begin with, to keep my mind off of stuff that was going on with myself. So, you know, it's nice to hear other people, and this is coming from a non-year one Guardian, okay? That he's saying, you know, he doesn't need that loot anymore to play and have fun. And I love hearing that.
You know what's really crazy right now is the fact that so much of the raid gear is worth our time right now. Like, I feel like all of the raid gear has some permutation that just looks fantastic. And so I'm having a hard time deciding, you know, which chest piece I want to wear or which arm piece I want to wear. Kingsfall has two sets. It's got that War Newman set. Like, that's crazy. When you look at the ornament on those War Newman gauntlets, like, that's crazy. It's beautiful. But at the same time, you know, Crota's outfit looks fantastic. Like, that glowing green looks really great. You know, the Vault of Glass permutations look really great. I don't even know which one I want to use there. And so right now I feel like the raids, they've never had more of a bigger draw for me. And I kind of wish that what we saw was exactly what they've given us right now, but over a longer period of time, instead of, you know, here is this update and here is now 3 sets of armor for each raid that, you know, turns into 3 more sets. Because I feel like right now the choices are just crazy. All of the gear looks either really good or at least is nuts. And so, like, this actually goes back to what you were saying about being able to like just live in this moment where we're really, you know, just bathing in the light and splashing around in it like toddlers. And now we're going to have all that taken away. There's not going to be any flashy armor. There's not going to be any flashy, you know, like I kind of feel like the armor in those in those still shots of those 3 Guardians kind of looks like 80s supercars, like Trans Ams and things like this. Like, oh yeah, in the 80s that was really cool, but right now, you know, it's not as fancy. I don't know. We should just move on. I feel myself starting to blabber.
You know, can I make a comment on the raids right now, actually?
Please.
I was super kind of stoked. Not really super stoked. I was all right with the new gear. I'm like, yeah, that'll look pretty cool. But at the same time, after putting some of the gear that I found on my character, I'm like, I'd just rather wear the gear I already have. I was totally not caring now.
You know, okay, so the reason I've been feeling that same thing. Except for it just has to do with the abilities. Like, I've crafted a set of gear over the, you know, past couple of months that have the right you know, intellect, strength, and discipline. And so with these new pieces of gear, like, it's definitely not the roles that I'm interested in, but they look cool. So yeah, so I will find that I want to wear these fancy pieces of gear. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I just put back on what works functionally because, well, number one, for the most part, I can't see myself. it's a first-person shooter, and so unless you're holding a sword or you're doing an emote, you can't really see yourself. So it doesn't matter. I'd rather have 9 shots of sleeper simulant than worrying about, this has some really cool glow to it.
I'd like to say that I did not think I was going to like hardly any of the new Raid gear, because when they did the introduction and they had all the pictures, I thought the Vault of Glass was like the most ugly looking stuff ever. And man, I was wrong. It's probably my favorite armor set right now, but just looking at it on your character, it's really cool. So I'm glad that they've got these new pieces that you can acquire. It's a lot of fun.
I want to say that Lays Summerstone in the chat says, what if using all this light like crazy actually weakens the Traveler enough for the Cabal to swoop in? And I think this is a great thing, a great example. You're running the dishwasher and the washer and the dryer, and you've got, a really nice system in the living room, and you pop that breaker and the power goes out. And so now what are you going to do? That's a great idea, Lays. I don't know that I ever thought about there being a limit on what could be given out, but that's a very interesting take. I like that a lot. I'm about to find out what Jez thinks the first hour of his life on this podcast is right now. Oh, your microphone is really quiet.
Because I don't mute in the actual Skype. It's always thinking that I'm not talking.
That's hilarious.
And it just keeps popping up. It's like,
all right.
Now that I've had some drinks in me, I'm not going to stop talking.
Excellent. I dare you. Anybody else on this theory that Lays has posted? Moving on.
All right, so with the impending gameplay premiere at 10 a.m. Pacific on May 18th, there have been impressively few leaks on the new content. We have reports that some Activision employees have been shown Destiny 2 this past week, and a few clues have come from an early Destiny 2 merchandise listing via GameStop. It reveals a series of hats showing emblems for each class, featuring an animal crest on each. It shows a snake for the hunter, an eagle for the warlock, and a lion for the titan. Now, there is some support for it to be a baboon rather than a lion. And this matches up with some images we've seen on the armor and some of the few Destiny 2 images that we've gotten from, say, the posters that were given with the pre-orders and such. What do you think? Do you think these animal crests are going to be important, fundamental for our characters, or is just a design choice like the emblems we have in game right now? In fact, there's a snake one now, and various emblems, but they don't really seem to have any specific ties to our guardians or their abilities. What do these hats mean? What do these images mean?
So I've read a lot about I read a lot of people's theories. Some people are talking about pets. Some people are talking about like this is a new subclass, and I could see it being pets. I mean, I don't want it to be pets, to be honest. And at the same time, I'll take a pet. Like I don't feel like pets really sit in Destiny. I don't know that I really saw a whole lot of animals in Destiny. There's those red pigeons with 4 wings, and then there's the wolves. I saw a bunch of wolves in that one place at that one time. And so it would be cool if it was pets. It comes down to I would just play whatever Bungie handed me right now. Like here, fishing simulator, that's what Destiny 2 is. I would just play it. I'm not even lying. I just want to play whatever they give me.
Don't you remember the plot of Power Rangers, the movie?
No, I never watched it.
When they got smacked down by Ivan Ooze and they lost their powers, and they had to travel to temples in the forest and learn new animal-based powers. I mean, I think that's what we're doing.
You know what? And that would be cool. I'm down with that.
Have like frog swords and stuff.
Well, I mean, the one leaked image we do have of the potential new powers shows the hunter with a spear, the titan with a shield, and the warlock with a sword, although he also has wings in the picture. And I mean, a spear and a snake, seems similar to me. And we already saw the warlock with a flaming sword and wings, which would go along with an eagle. Now the Titan was holding the shield in the air, but there could very well be a lion on it when he brings it down, or something like that. Who knows? But
if you really want me to get super speculative and reachy, first, the most famous weapon in Norse mythology is not Thor's hammer.
That's so cool.
It's Odin's spear. And that's one of the things that he fights Jormungandr, the world serpent, with. And then you move on to, it's actually a rock, not a griffin. It's a griffin, not a
baboon.
What? A baboon? No,
What?
It's not a lion. It's a griffin because it's very clearly got a beak.
Don't griffins have wings?
Yeah.
Some of them. I've heard a speculation, and Lays also brings it up. He says that isn't it the three parts of the chimera, and I could definitely see that. And actually, the idea of having to join supers like that into maybe create like a much larger super, or it would be really cool if supers chained in more than just a damage combination way, like where you hit somebody with a certain sunbreaker perk, and that will take their defense down. Like, I think that it would be really cool to see supers interact on a larger level, and something like that would be really cool, like a super where everybody joins their super into one, and that becomes like, I don't know, Meteora or whatever.
The original Chimera had a goat in it.
Yeah, it was a goat.
Well, maybe you get the goat for free. Like maybe there's just a goat that follows you around, and then you three form the rest of it. I don't know how it's going to work.
So I
it's
should
interesting.
mention, the griffin does have wings too, but the pose that they always draw the griffin in is literally the same.
Right, that claws out.
I'll post it in
totally
Twitch chat, but it's literally that. I'm doing kung fu as a thing.
The chimera is a lion and a snake, but unfortunately, it's not an eagle. It's a goat.
Well, maybe that's like a goat with wings. We don't know. Don't you paint Bungie into a corner, Gray?
I'm sorry, Amy. I apologize.
Dakota...
I was looking into I was gonna mention that the griffin is, I don't know, actually it might be medieval, but either way they use shields, so that kind of fits the shield titan. And then I don't know, they just kind of gave up with warlocks because no one likes warlocks.
Dakota, what do you make of this?
Oh, we talked about it a little bit in chat earlier today, and I'm not a real big fan of the whole pet idea. That kind of scares me. What I had thought about that I still kind of like as a better alternative is, what if it's still kind of the pet thing, but what if it's more about the power of you unleashing your super? So like Hunter, you kind of have this coiled snake strike that's like Golden Gun, and it's bam, and it's gone. Then I'm fine with it. If it's a snake that's going to be slithering around following me, it's a little creepy. But it could be interesting. We'll have to wait. I'm willing to give Bungie the benefit of the doubt. I have very few things have they done that made me go, oh. More times than not, it's like, God, I love this game. So I am willing to trust them.
I love that answer. Sharks, what do you make of this?
Okay, so this is why I was showing everybody this Hunter. Okay, so I'll bring it up again. If everybody looks, I apologize to anybody that's listening on Podbean and it can't. Okay, so this is the 3A Hunter, and on the back of the 3A Hunter there is a deer.
Your doll's pretty small. Can you bring it closer? I just wanted to call it a doll. I didn't really care.
Yeah. Okay, so there have been lots and lots of different things in this game for aesthetics, maybe for lore, for all kinds of other things that have no actual meaning in game. And I think that we're potentially seeing that again with this GameStop hats. It'd be really, don't get me wrong, it'd be really neat if it's, pets or new factions or whatever it is that people can imagine. But I don't honestly see it going that way.
It should note that even though we don't have deer super personified in our abilities, they are kind of part of the core of each of the classes. Well, mostly the hunter, because the hunter has the most animals as symbols, and it's mostly just we're naturey dudes.
Yep.
Naturey dudes. That's funny. Dakota, what do you make of all this?
As I said before, it'll be real interesting. I really hope that they tie. We talk about cinematic storytelling, and I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm hoping that they do a better job of really solidifying this lore into your character. So if the snake is, hunters are sneaky and lie in the grass type individuals that can strike when you least expect it, totally cool with that. But I really want to see whatever they're doing with this, that it means a little bit more. But I'm trying to also be realistic, because everybody wants these great cinematic cutscenes. How many times are we going to play through before we start skipping those? So I would like something that's cool that they can kind of keep tying and keep adding little bits and pieces onto.
But I like cinematic cutscenes, and I expect to skip them eventually. But I will always remember they're there, and I can always go back and watch them again if I want. It's the fact that that story, that impression initially will last with me forever is the more important thing, I think.
I mean, think of the first time you did your subclass in Taken King. That cutscene was pretty powerful for every class.
Yeah.
And we only see it once.
That's true.
Unfortunately. That was a fun mission.
Dakota, what do you make of all this? I'm just joking. I realized I already asked you that twice, and I thought it would be funny to do it again.
Yep.
Oh, no, I'll come up with something else new.
Sharks, is there something else that you wanted to add to this? Excellent.
No,
come up with something new, Dakota.
Oh, okay. Here's a great Destiny 2. What if part of their remixing of the super subclasses, what if they end up stealing one from a class and giving it to a different one? So, say you're Bubble Titan, that bubble goes to the Warlock, and then you get, the Nova Bomb. How would you guys feel if they remixed it that way? Do you think that would anger a lot of fans?
I'm gonna say right away that would be too much reusing stuff.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, they take guff.
I hope they don't do stuff like that. I hope they just come up with all new stuff.
Well, they actually do have rather defined class aesthetics, I guess is the best way to put it, in regards to the supers. The hunters are all quick, lightning fast, like a snake striking. And all the titans are strong and powerful, like a lion or something. And all of the warlock ones just puts them in the air for 2 hours.
Okay, so here's something. No,
man,
here is something that's interesting.
Warlocks.
No, wait, no. Here's something interesting. We actually talked about this on the pre-show, and this kind of goes into saying this, but at the same time, I wouldn't really want this. Mark asked a question: was what would you like to see if you could mix abilities from different classes into a new class, basically? And what my answer is basically taking the Warlock jump, which is slow as hell. Jez is totally right. And adding the ability to triple jump, like what a hunter can do, and being able to skate like a Titan can do, all onto one character in one specific jump. But again, I still go back to saying what I said at the beginning of this is that I wouldn't want them to just take what was from the previous game and make it into, this is something new, because I think that's a really lame way of doing it.
I like it. Moving on.
Moving on. So there's a new lore website that popped up this week. It's called the Seraphim Archive, and it's designed to be built to be easy to read and things like that. A lot of folks are liking it. I haven't had a lot of time to put a lot of my own opinion on how it works and everything like that, but a lot of folks seem to like it, and I think it's worth noting. So check that out, the Seraphim Archive. Just some random tips for this week. If you were fortunate enough to keep a Cocytus package, that this week they have was considered to be a PvE god roll of triple tap, extended mag, and firefly. So make sure you pick that up if you're so inclined. There's an instant shoulder charge glitch out there right now, so be aware of that. It allows you to shoulder charge instantly after sprinting for only a second. You simply sprint, shoot, crouch, and melee, and it just works. So this is pretty easy to do, and I haven't run into it too much. I think, fortunately, the fact that it's Mayhem Clash for Iron Banner this week has prevented that glitch from being too prevalently used. But if Bungie doesn't patch it soon, I can see this definitely becoming a problem in the Crucible.
Man, wouldn't it be funny if they knew about this glitch and that's why they did Mayhem? Like, they knew they couldn't stop it before then, so they're like, well, let's just give everybody supercharged, and so we won't have to worry about that. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is clearly, the end of Destiny 1. I'm going to go to sleep for a little while, you guys. I'll see you soon.
Now, everybody is complaining about the Golden Gunners in Mayhem Clash, but there's also another interesting tactic that's working well and becoming more prevalent, and that's the Weapons of Light Bubble Titan. If a Weapons of Light Bubble Titan puts on Icebreaker using the Weapons of Light, he can one-shot people in the Crucible. So your Icebreakers keep recharging, you keep poking out, your super gets built up, you keep bubbles going. There's also another build where you use no backup plans, universal remote, Irene with a replenish, and an illuminated Weapons of Light bubble. And every time you pop your super, you get a new full clip of Irene sniper, and can body shot everybody with that. And the universal remote and no backup plans basically just makes you super tanky and whatnot.
Okay, so I want to say something, and I'm gonna get hate mail for this, but you know what? I don't care. Okay, all of you out there need to quit complaining. There's always something wrong. Oh, Golden Gun. Oh, Blade Dancer. Oh, Void Walker. Whatever. Get over it. It's mayhem. It's a bunch of bullshit anyways. You're gonna get shot in the face by Golden Gun. Whoopie-doo. If I'll come in there with my Titan, I'll throw a fucking grenade on you, or I'll come in there with Tickle Fingers, or Nova Bomb. It doesn't make a difference what it is. They're gonna complain, and I'm sick to death of hearing people complain about it. Get over it. Get over it. That's all.
I'm sick to death of people complaining about people complaining.
Man, that's good stuff. Okay, so where should they send their hate mail, Sharks?
sharks3dman@gmail.com. You can come to my website at www.sharks3dman.com. You can find me on PlayStation, sharks3dman.com, sharks3dman.com. You can find me on Twitter, same thing, sharks3dman. Everybody knows where to find me. It's pretty easy. Sharks3dman. I'm everywhere, and I'll listen to your hate mail, and then 1v1 you.
I'd like to just point out that when Iron Man gave out his address and said, "Come at me, Mandarin," you know what happened. It was all destroyed. Just saying.
Yeah, but
Luckily,
he came back with a vengeance.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You basically just called sharks Iron Man. So thanks for Coda.
So you can actually use your ghost to kill enemies. There's an interesting GIF out there that was made this week. If you you know how when you go over to an object and it says deploy ghost for him to scan the object, and then eventually your guardian puts his hand out, the ghost pops up and moves out into the object. Well, if there's an enemy running up and you turn toward the enemy, when your ghost is ready to come out, your ghost to come out into the enemy and kill him.
That's crazy. I've never seen that before. I'll have to check that out.
So yeah, that you can find that on Reddit. Sergeant Alien submitted it to the subreddit there, and there's some interesting GIFs you can check out. I don't know if Gray's able to play that one or not. But and also I'll finish off my my information and report here with the final plea to Bungie again to release the PlayStation exclusives that are still in holding to the Xbox users so that they can use them before Destiny 1 is useless. For God's sake. Like, I don't know what's holding it back, if Bungie's just contract with Sony and Sony has to say go ahead and do this or what has to happen, but it's starting to annoy me as a PlayStation user. They haven't released Zen Meteor and Echo Chamber and all those Crucible maps to the people who are still wanting to play Destiny on Xbox. It's ridiculous, Sony. Freaking let Bungie do it, whatever. Somebody make it happen.
Probably just an issue of wording on the contract. It's probably the contract says that it's exclusive until the next content drops.
Well, somebody can say, you know what, we're good. Let's scratch this thing.
It's true. And Jade Rabbit has been available on PlayStation forever and never came over to Xbox.
I guess that wouldn't make sense because Rise of Iron came out between them.
Right. So it's interesting that you bring this up, Agros, and you're a pretty good guy for caring about what happens to the Xbox players, even though you're not on Xbox. As an Xbox and PlayStation player, the only thing that I wish they had, two things. The only two things that I wish they had from PlayStation that they should have on the Xbox is the Neurogassed helmet for the Hunter. I love that helmet. It looks so cool, and that's my main Hunter helmet on the PlayStation. And then the Zavala Titan Arms, the Sublime Engram. I'm drawing
to put it all in. There just needs to. It's done. We're
what I'm saying to you,
after the last release, Destiny 2 is about to be announced. Just put it in.
But I'm saying to you is that as a player of both, the only thing that I want is just armor, and that doesn't even really matter.
You get to use it on PlayStation. I don't care about the players of both. I'm concerned about the people who just play it on Xbox like normal people.
I know, but I'm talking to the people that are playing only on Xbox. I'm telling you, you ain't missing much. Is Zen Meteor cool?
Yeah, but you got to try it. Of course you can say you ain't missing much. Oh, Echo Chamber, that whole strike. You guys don't need it. We're grinding your Crucible maps. You'll play the same map over and over again. Useless.
I agree with that, Chris. I think Remy's wrong, and the way that I am able to actually put forth the feelings of what Xbox players feel. Especially if they don't get it at all, that would be even worse. But is my Hawkmoon. When did I get Hawkmoon? I got Hawkmoon after it was shit. I got it at the beginning of the next expansion. They had already brought it down to diddly squat. And in fact, I think I got it when it went live for Xbox. Isn't that right? I might be wrong.
No,
it was like, how disappointing.
I did too.
Yeah, it was you too. I got that gun, and I was like, I even said it. I was like, I was super excited. I told everybody, I was like, I'm Gaku! Yeah! It's garbage! That sucks. That sucks for anybody on Xbox.
Okay.
So don't try to whitewash it, Remy. It sucks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's worse for them to never get it, or if it's worse for them to get it after D2 drops, because then people who are dedicated are going to be like, I'm in the middle of playing D2, I want to play D2, but I never got those last final exotics now on D1, and then it's like a job to go back and get them instead of it being
better off never getting them.
Remember, the quote is better loved than lost than never loved at all.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You guys want to make a confession?
What's that?
I totally forgot about Echo Chamber, and I've never done that strike.
Like ever, even on PlayStation?
Well, ever. Yeah.
Well, I definitely didn't play it on Xbox.
Yeah, even
You know-
on the PlayStation.
You know, Sharks, I'm glad that you, as someone who doesn't also play on Xbox, can agree with Agrios, who also doesn't play on Xbox, about something that only an Xbox player would know. I'm glad that
No,
you guys
but that's
agree.
not true, though. It's not true because
I've never
based
been on the
off of
reverse
not-
side of Xbox having an exclusive that I couldn't get on PlayStation. I don't know how that feels. I can't possibly do that.
Yeah, I
that's
never
what I'm
played
saying.
any games during the PS3 era.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I feel it because I didn't get that gun all the way until year 2, and so it sucks. It sucks for anybody to be left out. I am totally anti exclusives. I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I understand why companies do them, but at the same time, I think it sucks, especially when, as like Bungie as a company, they're trying to say, okay, it doesn't matter if you're on PlayStation or Xbox or PC, you all have the same game. Well, no, you don't. You don't, because it's going to be different because just the exclusives alone. There are people that have never gotten a chance to play on some maps that a PlayStation person might say, oh, it's a garbage map. Yeah, well, give the Xboxer that right to be able to do it. And to say, oh, well, you're not missing much, that may be your opinion. I would say complete opposite. Oh, I'm missing a lot because I want that. I want that one thing. The one thing that I can't have for no stupid reason. I'd love to try it out. I don't know.
I feel like you're making an argument for the grass is greener. Like, I feel like what you're saying here is like you recognize that it doesn't matter, but it does because it matters to you. Anyways,
no, but not everybody can
listen.
afford 2 systems and 2 versions of the game, and
I
he
know.
knows that Destiny is his dig, and he wants to complete every single aspect of Destiny because Destiny's his dig. Now, what if Sharks was an Xboxer and didn't own a PlayStation right now? Being Sharks, who Sharks is. I mean, I'm sure he would have traded over a PlayStation by now. He's such a Destiny fan. But if he didn't, he would want to complete those last things. Like, very, very, very much so, passionately.
So are you guys saying that your shoutouts in 1 minute is going to be to this contract?
Yes, that's what's happening. All right. Why don't we do some shout outs, starting with you, Dakota?
I'll do 3 real quick ones. First one's to Gray's baseball cap. Go Hawks. And then I'd also like to very special shout out to every single member of Guardian 1. Being a part of this clan has meant an awful lot to me, and the experiences that I've had with each and every member at any given different time, doing any given different activity within the game, has been just wonderful to be a part of, and I've made some really good friendships and really gotten to know some people extremely well, and I'm very, very thankful for this clan and what it offers and what it stands for. And then my final one is for my partner in crime, Holy Smokes You. You make so many things possible, babe. Love you.
Excellent. Gray.
That was so sweet. Aw, I like that. It's very nice. My shout out this week is going to be to all of the Guardian 1 members who are going to be joining us tomorrow night for Iron Banner and Brews. Because it's not easy to get together and endure some of Mark Square's silly, zany challenges. I'm looking at you, Sharks 3D man, for 3 hours in Mayhem Clash while enjoying some really good craft beer. So, we got Sharks, we've got Remy, we got Velvet, Mark Square, and myself. We might pick up a few more along the way before tomorrow night hits. So hope you guys can make it to watch, and we will have a blast.
Excellent. Sharks.
I actually have 2. One is to the people that are doing the media registration at E3. You went through, you checked. We do an awesome podcast. You guys agree, and you gave me a media badge. I will see you guys at E3, and I will see everybody at Bungie that I didn't get an invite to your Destiny 2 reveal. That's okay. I'm gonna bug the crap out of you at E3. But my other shout out goes to my brother. Last week I didn't have any power, and he had sent me a box that I had no idea what was in it. It was a loot box full of mega constructs, and so it kept me busy all day long while I didn't have any power. Here's one of the things that I was working on. So yeah, shout out to my brother.
Excellent. Congratulations on your media badge, Sharks. That's really cool. Agrios.
My shout out goes to Jason Schreier. He's if you aren't familiar, he's an author at Kotaku who specializes in Destiny, has leaked bunches of information and confirmed bunches of things with us about Destiny and things like that. A lot of people in the community give Kotaku and him a lot of guff, but I'm a big fan, and like I said yesterday/today, whatever, it was his birthday. And shout out to him for being an awesome part of the community.
Excellent. Jez.
My shout out goes to the band Lit. That's totally actually still around.
Awesome.
You really don't remember Lit, do you?
Of course I do. I used to do that. I used to do their main song karaoke all the time. That was one of my jams.
That song, Miserable, is probably the best start to a song in lyrical genius ever. Just saying.
Excellent. And my shout out goes to Ryan McCaffrey over at IGN. I've been watching him and his reporting on video games for a long time, and several years ago, 10 years ago actually, he got this boxer dog named Maggie the Boxer, and just this week he had to say goodbye to Maggie, and watching it on Twitter unfold was really, really heartbreaking. I definitely cried looking at some of the sweet pictures of his boxer dog having a good time with life, and so my heart is with him right now because that's a bummer. I'm not going to be okay when my dog dies, and so I hope that he's having an okay time with the quiet life without a boxer, because once a boxer leaves, you can definitely feel the void that's left there. And that wraps up episode 133. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.